Hello, dear students, welcome back. Today we'll look into the applications of adsorption. So, what do you mean by application of adsorption? Application here means where all the phenomenon of adsorption is going to take place. Well, we all know that adsorption is such an important phenomenon that is connected with one or the other way in our daily life. Okay, so we'll list up one by one the applications of adsorption. So first application, if we look into it, is production of high vacuum. Okay, now even though if we make use of vacuum pump to evacuate the air, okay, from a vessel or a container, so whatever the last traces of air that is left out in the vessel or the container can be removed by the phenomenon of adsorption. In the sense, we can just place an charcoal or any suitable adsorbent which help to adsorb the remaining traces of air that is left back to create a high vacuum. So first application here means production of high vacuum. Okay, so second, if we look into it, is gas masks. Okay, so gas masks are those masks which are generally used by the people who are working in coal mines. Okay, so the laborers who are working in coal mines generally make use of these gas masks. So what is this gas mask? So this gas mask is a mask which is consisting of a suitable adsorbent like activated charcoal, which help to absorb the poisonous gases. Now generally in coal mines what happens, there will be large many amount of poisonous gases present like ammonia, carbon dioxide we have. Okay, if it is inhaled by the person, it will be harmful for the person and it will affect the human beings. So as a result of which, what happens, generally the laborers who are working in coal mines will wear these gas masks so that they will not inhale these poisonous gases. So whatever these poisonous gases are there, they will be absorbed by the adsorbent which is present inside that, so which prevents the persons from inhaling the poisonous gases. So generally activated charcoal is used as an adsorbent in gas masks. Okay, now next, if you consider control of humidity. Okay, so third application, if we look into it, is control of humidity. Also you can call it as dehumidizer. Okay, so in the sense, you are controlling humidity or moisture. Okay, now suppose if you bring a new leather purse or any shoes, you can just see a small packets which is kept inside that is named as silica gel packets. Now what is the use of this is, it will help to absorb the moisture that is present uh, surrounding it. Okay, so why it is necessary that you are supposed to place a silica gel packet here is, so if it, your leather purse or your shoes, if it comes in contact with the moisture, obviously it will be spoiled. Okay, that's the reason why we make use of these adsorbents like silica gel, or you also have got alumina gel packets, so which helps to control the humidity. Okay, so that whatever the substance that is kept out, it will not be spoiled. Okay, next we have removal of coloring matter from solutions. Okay, so if you want to remove any color, you can use adsorption phenomenon. The best example is your sugarcane juice. Okay, now all of you have seen the sugarcane juice, it is said to be colored. Okay, so what is the color here? It is somewhat in the green or yellowish color, right? Now sugar, you obtain it from sugarcane juice, right? So what is the color of the sugar here? Sugar is white in color. So where the color went now? So where the greenish yellow color which was there for sugarcane, where it went? Okay, so in factory what they do is, when sugar is obtained, there they make use of animal charcoal. Okay, so animal charcoal is made used and it is put inside the sugarcane juice. So what happens, whatever the color is there for the sugarcane juice will be absorbed by this charcoal. Okay, so whatever the remaining sugarcane you are getting, sugar you are getting, that will be white in color, because whatever the color is there, that will be absorbed by the adsorbent, that is your animal charcoal. Okay, next we have separation of inert gases. Now if you want to separate the mixture of inert gases or noble gases, that can be done by the adsorption process. Why? Because different inert gases or different noble gases have got different degree of adsorption. So that's the reason why you can make use of this adsorption phenomenon to separate the inert gases. Next, what we have is in curing diseases. Now what happens, some drugs can adsorb the germs on them, and also they can kill them, saving us from many diseases. Okay, so number of drugs which are used to kill the germs by getting adsorbed on them. Okay, so hence we can say that it is also used in curing diseases, right? Next, what we have is froth flotation process. Okay, so froth flotation process is one of the process which is generally used for the concentration of sulfide ores. Okay, so there also we make use of adsorption phenomenon. Okay, so next what we have is adsorption indicators. So adsorption indicators, so many dyes, if you consider, they have become useful due to adsorption. Okay, so these dyes have been introduced as an indicator, especially in precipitation titration. For example, if potassium bromide is easily titrated with AgNO3 using eosin as an indicator. Okay, last what we have is chromatographic analysis. So separation of mixture into constituents is referred to as chromatography. So this it is a process which involves separation of mixture into constituents. Okay, so here also a process of adsorption is being used. So selective adsorption of some substances by the solution help us to separate components of the mixture. So you have a different mixture. Mixture is nothing but sum of constituents which can be separated. So last application what we have is heterogeneous catalysis. So catalyst is any substance which is going to alter the rate of a reaction. Okay, so in heterogeneous catalysis also what happens, when gaseous reactants they are adsorbed on the surface of a solid catalyst, the concentration of the reactants on the surface of the catalyst will increase, and this leads to increase of the rate of the reaction. So here also we have the application of adsorption to increase the speed of the reaction. So these are some of the applications of adsorption what we have for our syllabus. So any other application if you have, that also will be included. Moving on to next part of our discussion, that is catalysis. So what is this process of catalysis? So we all are aware with the term catalyst. So what is a catalyst? A catalyst is any substance which alters the rate of a chemical reaction without itself undergoing any chemical change is referred to as catalyst. Now when I say when it alters the rate of a chemical reaction means it may either increase the reaction rate or it may decrease the reaction rate. So it either increases or decreases the rate of the reaction. So that substance we call it as catalyst, and the phenomenon is referred to as catalysis. For example, if you consider thermal decomposition of potassium chlorate. So decomposition of potassium chlorate will take place to give KCl and oxygen, potassium chloride and oxygen. But for this reaction, if you make use of small amount of manganese dioxide, so what happens? This manganese dioxide will act as a catalyst and helps to increase the speed of decomposition of potassium chlorate. So I have told you that catalysts are the substances which will alter the rate of chemical reaction. So we have two types of catalysts here. We have catalytic promoters. We also have catalytic poisons. So what are these promoters and poisons? Now here the name itself here indicates catalytic promoters are those substances which are not catalysts, but whenever they are mixed with the catalyst, they will increase the efficiency of the catalyst. So you are just promoting the activity of the catalyst. They are increasing the efficiency of the catalyst. So we call them as catalytic promoters, or we call as activators. For example, if you consider in the manufacture of ammonia by Haber's process. So ammonia manufacture, nitrogen gas plus 3 hydrogen gas. So to give ammonia 2NH3. Now here you can see iron is acting as a catalyst. Catalyst is increasing the speed of the reaction. But what is the job of this molybdenum here is, molybdenum here acts as a promoter. Means what? It is just increasing the activity of iron. It is helping the iron to increase the speed of the reaction. So what are these catalytic poisons? So the name itself here indicate poison is anything which is going to decrease the efficiency. So any substance which will destroy or decrease the activity of a catalyst by their presence, they are referred to as catalytic poisons. So we have catalytic promoters which will increase the activity of the catalyst, and there are catalytic poisons which will decrease the activity of the catalyst. So next what we have is types of catalysis. So catalysis can be divided into two categories. One we call it as homogeneous catalysis, and the other we call it as heterogeneous catalysis. Now homo refers to same. Same, what is same here? Reactants and the catalyst are in the same phase. Same phase means what? Either they are in solid state, they are in liquid state, or in gaseous state. So such catalysis process we refer it to as homogeneous catalysis. What is heterogeneous catalysis? Hetero refers to different. So what is different here? Reactants and the catalysts are in different phases. Then we call it as heterogeneous catalysis. So if the reactants and the catalyst are in the same phase, either all are solid, all are liquids or gases, then we call it as homogeneous catalysis. If the reactants and the catalyst are in different phase, then we call them as heterogeneous catalysis. So let us take some examples of homogeneous and heterogeneous catalysis. So here first example of homogeneous catalysis, oxidation of sulfur dioxide to sulfur trioxide. Now here if you look, sulfur dioxide, oxygen, both are in gaseous state. Oxidation is nothing but addition of oxygen. That takes place in the presence of nitric oxide. So that is also a gas. So reactants and the catalyst what we are using all are in gaseous state. So this is an example of homogeneous catalysis. Hydrolysis of ethyl acetate. Hydrolysis is, lysis is to break, that is in the presence of water. So ethyl acetate is aqueous, that is liquid, plus water, that is also liquid. That takes place in the presence of H plus ions that are furnished by dilute HCl. So whatever the catalyst what we are using, that is also in the liquid state. So again it is a homogeneous. Hydrolysis of sugar. Sugar, sucrose you take, hydrolyze that in the presence of water. So that is again furnished by H plus ions, that is from sulfuric acid. So again all the three reactants, two reactants and one catalyst are in liquid state. So again it's a homogeneous. So homogeneous is what? The reactants and the catalyst, if they are in the same phase, then we call it as homogeneous catalysis. Coming to heterogeneous catalysis, manufacture of ammonia by Haber's process. Now here if you consider the reactants, nitrogen and hydrogen. So both the reactants here are in the gaseous state. But whatever catalyst we are using here, iron, that is in the solid state. So reactants are in gaseous state, iron, that is catalyst, is in solid state. So it becomes heterogeneous. Oxidation of sulfur dioxide to sulfur trioxide. If it is taking place in the presence of platinum, so platinum is solid here, SO2 and oxygen are gaseous. So again it becomes heterogeneous. Oxidation of ammonia into nitric oxide. Okay, so this process we call it as Ostwald's process. That takes place in the presence of platinum gauze. So 4NH3 plus 5O2. So ammonia and oxygen are gaseous state. Platinum is in solid. So it is heterogeneous. Hydrogenation of vegetable oils into fat. That is vanaspati. So vegetable oil if you take, that is liquid. Hydrogen is gas. Nickel is solid. So all the three states are here: solid, liquid and gas. So again it is a heterogeneous catalysis. So homogeneous is one in which reactants and the catalyst are in same phase. Heterogeneous is one in which reactants and the catalyst are in different phases.